Hi, folks. Welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, an unofficial look at the world's coolest social network. For those of you watching on YouTube Live or Justin TV or on Google Plus, we'll be watching your comments and questions, and we'll be throughout the show. We'll be answering those or addressing them, whatever you want to call it. Personal note: I am sick, so I'll be off camera occasionally, blowing my nose or tending to my flu symptoms. But I'm going to do my best to be able to speak throughout the show. And joining me is a Google Plus Hangout. Let's take a look here. We have from New York. We have Alan Furstenberg from, is it Minnesota or right?
Missouri.
Missouri.
Columbia, Missouri.
One of those M states. I knew. Chad, welcome. We have Diana Ridley. Welcome. Have you been in a Hangout with me before?
I don't think so.
Welcome. Good to have you with us. Where are you from, or where are you
I'm
at?
from Alabama.
Alabama. I could listen to you talk all day long. And then we have from Guam, from KUAM. Jason Salas. Welcome, Jason.
Hi, everybody. It's a beautiful Saturday over here, even though it's your Friday evening, but it's a lovely, sunny Saturday, so you guys have that to look forward to.
Yes, it's a tornado warning where I am, so you win the prize. Jeff Zayas is...
Very good. This first time. Excellent.
Indeed. Only because you were after Jason Salas. See, I got it by accident. He is in the San Francisco Bay Area of California. Pam Adger, I forget where you are.
San Francisco.
On her
San
couch.
Diego.
She's on her couch.
I'm actually in my bed. I'm in Riverside, California.
Awesome. And then Sheila Dubois from Utah. Welcome, Sheila. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Sreek Menon from born and bred in New Jersey. I mean, just outside of New York, I should say. And then Tom C., where are you from? Or where you at?
Oh, East Coast, America, Virginia.
Oh, what part of Virginia?
Richmond, capital.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I am in Bentonville, Virginia, so I'm about 2.5 hours from you, I guess, something like that.
Ooh, that must be out west.
Northwest, where 66 and 81 meet.
Okay,
So,
near West Virginia, 66 and 81.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it was a big week. Alan has just got a few minutes, and then he's got to dash out and come back. But I wanted to talk. First of all, we'll talk about Chad's app that he wrote, which is awesome. It's called Pro Studio in a little bit. Also, lots of other news about Google Plus and general tech stuff we can talk about. But first, I want to talk about Google Plus Local, which is a feature that I think has a lot of potential. Basically, what they did was they took everybody, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alan, but it seems that they took every single person who has an entry on Google Maps, a pinpoint, or a review on Google Maps, or a Zagat restaurant survey, and they created a Google Plus page for them, but it's not a conventional page. It's sort of a page-like entity that's listed under what's now Google Plus Local. Anybody can edit that entry Wikipedia style, but those edits are associated with your login name, and the business owner can claim that page, sort of like you can claim a listing on Google Maps or that sort of thing. So on the surface of it, I see this as a potentially useful thing. We tried to get someone from Local on, and that did not work well. But Alan, I'm hearing some people love it, and I'm hearing some people referring to it as getting mixed reviews. So right out of the box, from 10,000 feet in the air, we've had a couple days to play with it. What do you think, Alan Furstenberg in New York?
I think it's okay. It's fine. I mean, it's basically taking Google Places, which has been around for a while, and kind of putting a very, very thin social veneer on top of it, and trying to do a couple of vaguely social things to it, and passing it off as something big and new with Google Plus.
Did you say it's good, it's okay? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you say it's good, then it's okay? Can you say that
I
again?
said it's fine, I think is how I put it. And, it is fine. But it's also nothing terribly special.
But they added Zagat to it, right?
Yes, they did add the Zagat, and they kind of have adopted Zagat's general scoring system, moving away from the stars and towards a numeric category scoring system. But again, that's fine. That's a refresh of what Places is. That's nothing particularly social to it. In fact, there's kind of a very, the way I like to put it is there's a thin social veneer about it. you can share your you can share your posts when you do a review, and that's fine. It's okay. There's not. This isn't the big dramatic thing that was being painted at when it first rolled out.
Well, my theory, it would help those when you're doing a review on these places. People can, it will help people see you in the near, like on your phone, like the nearby stream. They can see who's local.
Was Places really a very popular application, or?
I think Places is obviously at least moderately popular, since all of that information has come over now, and people can now see it all. So, it used to be that I would go look at, reviews of hotels where I was going, or reviews of restaurants where I was going, and I'd see a good 4 or 5 reviews for a good 5 or 6 places around any particular city that I was looking at. So it had a modest amount of use in the past.
Yeah.
But this is all about context, though, isn't it, Alan? I mean, the whole thing was, I don't know if it was Larry Page or whoever was saying that if your friend recommends something, then that carries a lot more weight, right?
And again, that's the sort of thing that is going to come up with Search Plus Your World now. But it's interesting. I tried doing a search, and the reviews from people that were in my circles were not terribly prominently portrayed. At least, yes, when I specifically did a search on a specific city that I knew someone in my circles had posted a review to, and it did say it was Sarik in this case. It did say that Sarik came up. It did say, hey, Sarik's made a recommendation in this area, but that came up after other reviews that were totally unrelated to what I was looking for. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there's some potential here, and I think there's some usefulness here, and I think there's just a touch of social here, but I think there's a lot more they can and should do.
Quick question,
hopefully we'll
Alan, and or anyone who wants to answer this. Alan, if you know this, we are getting an echo. I'm not sure if it's from me. I can't tell.
It is probably somebody's got the YouTube feed also watching at the same time.
Yeah, I put that in the chat.
Okay, so Shade SWV said, does anyone know what happens if the owner does claim the page? Do they get more control? I'm assuming so, but I don't know if anyone's tried this. What if a business has a regular Google Plus page and a local page is a duplication in some way? I don't know the answer to that.
Right now it's duplication.
So it is a separate page-like entity that's it's not the same.
It is a page.
And it can't post, right? It doesn't have the rights of a page. That's a whole...
That I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. What I do know, however, is that right now, if you had created a page before now, and your Places got dragged in, that you now have 2 pages. And Google is saying that eventually there will be a way to join them. But, we've heard that kind of promise from Google before.
Hello?
And we have yet another talking camera.
Hi, Aaron. We're doing a show. We're talking about Google Plus Local. Can you go on camera if you're going to join us?
Very good. Yeah, this is my camera here. You can see me?
Okay.
You can see me?
So Dan, will the new Google Places be able to look inside of your houses? Just
Yeah, I think.
Why did you mute me, man? Do not mute me. Thank you.
All right, I've got I just want to, they won't let me, okay, there we go. Now I'm frozen. Everyone's frozen.
No.
Are we back? We're back.
I think you can double click on your screen and it should work. Like if you're
It's
frozen.
Karma. Google has Karma built in.
Okay, so anyway, I guess Alan left. Okay, so
Use your producer thing, Pro Studio, to get him.
I block. He's gone.
It's
So let's let's
Google
just continue the thing. It is interesting. Does anyone know the answer to this? Has anyone played with this? Has anyone claimed one of these pages?
I went into one of my old Places, and I was not able to tie it to my Google account. So that was kind of disappointing for me, and I think that's going to be an important feature.
Any other thoughts on local in general?
I think it's like a little slice of City Search, a little slice of Yelp, all put together with Google Places, and that's how it's gonna kind of work out. But I think the Zagat ratings are nice. I think it's a nice touch.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Jeff was just saying, because the one thing that actually kind of worried me in principle going into this, like once I heard about it, was that the comments, because you're dealing with people that are dealing.
I apologize. Can
everyone needs to block Aaron?
Yeah, everyone needs to block Aaron Kirk because he's muting people, and we got to get him out of here. I apologize to the viewers. This is one of the problems when you open up. I try to open up my circles, and I guess he's gone once everyone blocks him. So if everyone could block Aaron Kirk, who's the far left here.
Everyone has to
take a minute to block.
Yeah, just block him real quick, and then
you can do the soft block if you like, which is just to get him out of the hangout. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna watch this live because I don't have much to input, so I'm gonna just switch to live and count as a block, I guess.
Hey Dan.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good feature because if your friends check in on Google Plus, like if they wanted to go to Fleming Steakhouse, for instance, then you give it 3 out of 3. Well, it's a good chance that you'll probably go to it because the atmosphere is great and so on.
Yeah, like I had my first hangout in real life with Sarik, Diana, and here in Front Royal, Virginia, and we went to this restaurant called Element, and when the next day, I think, or whenever he got back, a couple days later, Local launched, and he made a point to do a review, kind of as a test. But if any of you were coming to Front Royal and you saw that someone you knew, had reviewed it and said this is awesome, that to me, a review from one of you folks is far more valuable than 10 reviews from strangers that may or may not be said. I'm getting an echo from Jason. I'm not sure. I think that
was me.
This is going to be the most technically challenging, and I'm sick anyway, so I'm having a tough time dealing with this. But we have like a lot of viewers right now, so they're watching to watch the crash. But yeah, Diana, so you like it. Jason, what do you think? I mean, this would be cool, right?
Well, I was saying earlier, I was like, the one thing that kind of concerned me was that it being based on comments. I mean, I was just worried that it would kind of devolve into what we have with YouTube comments, where people are more prone to actually leave their feedback when they have a negative experience with something like that. When you combine it with the Zagat and marry that and everything like that, I think it's a lot more valuable when you have that credibility that you bring into it. Because I mean, like YouTube comments and everything, there are a lot of people that don't even recognize YouTube as a social network by the traditional sense of the word, just because it's like people just can't stand just the haterade that goes on there, for lack of a better term. But personally, I mean, I come from a small community. It's got a lot of nice listings for local stuff. I haven't extensively used it. I mean, I took a look at it a couple times and everything like that. I mean, I think it's a really, really great start. Restaurants are kind of nice and everything, and I think of course, because it's a platform born of the network effect, so it's only going to get better the more people get into it and the more people contribute and everything like that. I think it's a really good launching pad. Personally, I've not gone out of my way to actually use it extensively though.
All right, so we agree it has potential, and we're all still trying to figure out exactly what it is and how it works.
I have a couple of thoughts about this. When you guys said that it's actually coupled, they use Zagat. I don't know how it's pronounced. Zagat. I don't know. Anyway, so I was looking at the number of reviews. For example, one of the restaurants I chose, everything said that each review was posted by a Google user. If you look at the reviews in local, and then what does it mean? And all those reviews were taken from places, or were they also including Zagat reviews together with that?
I think it's a mixture. I'm not sure, but I think Sarik, I think it's a mixture of things from Google Maps, or Jason,
Well,
I'm getting an echo back from you, buddy. When I'm talking, I'm getting an echo. I can see right now I'm talking, and look at your picture there. You can see the green line underneath. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, I just saw it right there.
It's because he's not wearing headphones, obviously.
Yeah, get some earbuds.
No, he normally doesn't have that issue. That's strange.
Maybe he needs to go on his settings, his not music but sound settings, and maybe mess around with it a little bit.
But Jason, are you on loudspeakers? I mean,
Margie, what are your thoughts on Google Plus Local?
I'll just mute myself.
Well, basically what Alan already said. I mean, it's not really social. Yeah.
Okay, Jason, don't get offended. Okay.
And
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna mute yourself. So please don't get mad. So.
Oh no, he's muted himself. He knows.
Oh,
he's a regular. He knows. He'll mute his microphone, then unmute it when he wants to talk.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then again, we only speak about Saget most of the time, but I think, as Dan mentioned earlier, you can virtually review everything you can find on Google Maps. You know, I went and I think reviewed car sales or whatever in a car showroom. So I'm saying, and I think it's a much more featured. I mean, everybody kind of associates with hotels and restaurants and stuff like that. But I think it's much more powerful than that.
Yeah. So I take it'll pick up your location no matter where you're at. So I mean, if you're a different city, you click on local, it's going to know your IP address, where you're coming from, and basically serve up those local places around you. Is that right? That's a good assumption there?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I'm saying, say for like Dan, and you're traveling, right? And you're going into Richmond, Virginia to see Tom, right? And you're going to go to a restaurant, and you're on your mobile, right? And you click, you look for a local. It's going to serve up all the local restaurants that you currently are near.
But you do a search for restaurants, you already have that with the Google search widget that you have, whether you want it or not, on your phone, on your Android anyway. Yeah, we kind of already have Google Local on our phones. We don't have it on our PCs. It's not so well integrated with Google on the PC at the moment. Am I correct in that? Google Plus having the local button there gives us our restaurants, all our venues, our bars, our nearest Radio Shack, nearest Walmart, etc. From the PC in case it's a laptop, or in case we just moved to our current location.
Well, it does. It's
we're looking
done
for
that for
something
some
new
time. I think that this is just going to be more into the Google Plus selection of tools. So now your Google Plus icon is what's going to lead into this information. It'll have the location detection. It'll show you what's nearby. It'll give you all the reviews and the information that you need to make a good decision. There's a lot of value in it. I just wish that it tied more closely to our existing pages.
If you have your settings, such that you're allowing Google to see where you are, you can hide them, and there have been a few posts from people who are like, I'm not in Podunk, Iowa. I don't know why it keeps saying I'm in Podunk, because I'm not there. Yeah, I don't know if they don't have their settings right, or if, there's some kind of bug or
the IP
whatever.
address doesn't report the correct location. Right.
Yeah, so we got a couple comments from YouTube Live. For Shade SWV, the local pages also have some anonymous reviews from those that were there prior to the Google Plus conversion. Yeah, that's how they launched it. They're basically very intelligently using their existing footprints and properties to populate something from scratch with a lot of data. And most of the local restaurants in my area are on there. And then also... question, I think it picks up your location from your profile, doesn't it? I think it does, as opposed to your physical location from an IP address, but I'm speculating. I tried to get someone from local on, but she wouldn't go on the show. Apparently, she would respond to messages or something. But that would have made it easier. I don't know about the mobile app, as I haven't really used it much lately since the update, which did not appeal to me. But that's another topic, indeed. I use the browser on my phone to view Google+. I did the same thing with Reuters. Their app's atrocious, but their browser's great. Okay, so final thoughts on this, and then we'll talk with Chad about his killer app.
I think this was Marissa Meyer's big project, right? When she was, because remember, she was kind of like the public face of Google for a few years and everything, and now that role is kind of taken over by Vic and Dilcher. But I believe this is like what Marissa's been working on, and the division she heads up.
Perhaps, and I think it's a move in the right direction. Clearly, I think it's gonna be good. And Oleg wishes us well from Disneyland. And yeah, we're jealous. We're completely jealous.
It's a small world, after all.
Yeah.
You should check in on Foursquare and let us know that.
Yeah, we expect lots of pictures and posts and plus mentions. He's gonna totally streak us with his posts from Disneyland. That's an inside joke. Okay, so
he just posted something for Pirates of the Caribbean. That was awesome on his stream. That's cool.
Oh yeah. All right, so let me go to Chad, and you wrote, and I apologize again, I'm sick, so I can barely talk. But Chad, is it Lafarge? How do you pronounce it? Lafarge?
It is Chad Lafarge, yes.
Chad Lafarge. You're very soft-spoken.
It's Chad Lafarge, yes.
Hey.
Live from Missouri.
KJR. Okay, so
Sunday.
Chad, tell me, you wrote an app. It's called Pro Studio. We've been playing with it a little bit. And it is, in my opinion, of the apps, I haven't tried many apps, but I've tried several. There are many great ones. Like I use Comment Tracker. I'm using it right now. And there's a lot of great apps. This one is probably the most, the different things it does, the most intricate or whatever that I've seen so far. And it's kind of, on this, for this type of app, it's kind of, I guess, pushing the envelope a little bit. And so tell us what it is, what it does, why you wrote it, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, thanks for your kind comments first. I wrote the extension because I spent a lot of time hanging out with newscasters and people like that, people hosting shows, a lot like the kind of format that you use. And something that's been missing from my experience is the organization and production value, being able to send people cues so that they know what to do at any given time. Please be quiet now, somebody else is trying to talk. You've experienced this, where you need to be able to send a message, and you can't really do that when you're broadcasting live all over the place. So I developed the extension to serve that need, spending a lot of time with Sarah Hill and her Hangouts, and Melissa Carlson and Reno in her Hangouts. And I just thought that what could they use to be able to make the show run a little more smoothly? And so far, so good. The feedback that I've gotten is feedback that I'm happy with.
Yeah, it looks really powerful. The one thing I wish, and it's the same thing that I fussed about with the Comment Tracker guy and with Zafir, and I don't think it's you, but for those of us who capture a shot and then feed it, there's two ways to do a Hangout. You can do a Hangout where you're using the final product is the broadcast and the recording that YouTube creates for the Hangout. And then what I do and what Sarah does and the TV people and Jason is we actually capture this top screen on the Hangout and use that as like a satellite feed, if you will, into a final production, which is not the Hangout. And the problem I have is that if I switch from chat, which I have to use to be able to communicate with the folks in the Hangout, and then switch to any of these apps, it alters the size of that top screen. And it the same thing with Comment Tracker. So I can't use Comment Tracker during the show. I do it when I do my news and tech Hangouts on the weekdays, but for Google Plus Week, where it's a more fancy production, I can't because it alters it, it shrinks it, and then I've got to crop it. And also, if you were talking, if I switched, people would wonder why all of a sudden you're smaller or bigger. But I don't think that's something you can control necessarily. I'm not sure.
Well, and that's where the idea for assigning producers came from. So when you first load the app, you become the host. And the host can designate however many producers they like, and the producers carry the same or have access to the same tools as the host. So in like in Melissa's format, Patty is the producer. In Sarah's, Jen can be the producer. So you can just load the app, designate the producers, make it disappear on the side, just use chat to use your communication. You produce from the chat, and the producer is back there clicking the buttons because they're experts too. They know how the flow of the show is supposed to go.
Now, is it, because we were playing with this earlier, and when I launched this Hangout, I had it on, and then Jason Salas in Guam, what was the I guess you were the first one to turn it on, right, Jason?
Yeah.
And so
I actually initiated the Hangout with the extension already installed.
Okay, so he did that. I had not yet. I had used it previously, so I didn't have to like install it. But I noticed that Jason was actually the host.
Yeah,
he
there's
was
a reason for that. The first person who loads the app in the Hangout ends up becoming the host, and I see that as a problem too. One of the things that I have on a development list that I've been trying to advocate for with the Google Hangouts engineers and the API engineers is being able to get an is host property, so I can see who the host is and I can give that appropriately to the person who created the Hangout. But right now, it's a race. So if you're the host creating a Hangout for production, you open the Hangout, you load the extension, and then you invite your participants. So you don't have to worry about that race to see who gets that gold bar.
It's an awesome app. I can't wait. It's awesome now, and I can't wait to see where you go with it. Jeff, you do Hangout shows.
Yeah, we
what
were
do you think
testing
about
it
this?
out. Oh, it's great. We were testing it out today in Tech and Coffee, and we all were. We used all the functionality. Everything worked really, really well. I like the idea that you can do that soft block of somebody, and the screen goes white, and you can mute them. You can mute everybody, and like you said, you can have several producers, take control of it. So you can move that control to several people if you wanted to. I think you did an excellent job. Really, really, really good job. My one suggestion would be the ability to mute and white out a person at the same time, so you don't have to do it twice,
I actually considered that. The thing that kept me from doing that is the thought that if I'm muting somebody and I'm whiting them out is because they're doing something that's just not appropriate for the Hangout. I'm going to block them anyway. But yeah, you make a good point. And I've actually gone a little bit further. It's possible, although a little intrusive, to turn off the camera, the way Alan's is now,
right.
Using the code that I have running in the back end there, and later to turn that back on. And it's to turn that back on that gets a little creepy, and there are sensitivities there. I just couldn't leave that in the app. But there's a lot that's possible that I'm not doing. I considered a nuke option that's sort of like what you described, does the mute, does the whiteout, and could also turn off the camera, like in the case of our talking chat.
Can we use this in normal Hangouts? Just live Hangouts?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It works in on-air, it works in regular Hangouts as well.
What's the name of your app again?
Pro Studio.
And it's great. It's great because when there's when you want to change the topic, you can see what's coming up next. You can see what's happening.
Did someone type that in the chat for me, so I can look it up and use it?
There you go.
Because Pro Studio. All right, because Hangouts are in dire need of something like that.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and a lot of us are clamoring for this, and it's awesome to see these folks like Chad doing this stuff.
Is it only for Hangouts on Air, or is it for all the Hangouts?
Any type of Hangout.
It's an extension, so it goes.
I think it's most useful for on-air, but yeah, any type of Hangout, it'll run in and you're able to use the same tools.
Chrome only?
No. I've had reports running on Ubuntu and Firefox, Internet Explorer 9. But those are the only places where I have actual reports of it doing well. And I wasn't crazy about the load time in Internet Explorer, but I'm probably not the only one on the planet to have a complaint about Internet Explorer at the moment.
Speaking of Internet Explorer, let me go to Jason Salas, who has been basically an ambassador for Internet Explorer and all things Microsoft.
At one point in my life, I was.
You know, the good old DOS days. We were joking today about VHSs and stuff. I don't know why all of a sudden I made a correlation there. But anyway, Jason, you had a question, and also you just interacted on YouTube Live. That was an interesting, or I guess it was. Just make a quick note of what that person said, and then ask your question for Chad.
Getting back to the previous discussion about local, NZ Possum writes, you can expect to see, this person predicts, more integration with Schemer and Google offers. So I think that's a fairly accurate prediction and everything. So, you know, everything that we saw, what Foursquare should have been and what Facebook is trying to become, I would think we're going to see something like along those lines, and probably, you know, take it to the next level. But, you know, Chad, I actually became, and, you know, forgive my ignorance, but I became aware of your extension only yesterday. I played with it, you know, extensively, basically in a hangout just by myself, and I thought it was amazing. And then, you know, Dan and Alan jumped in later on, nighttime, my time. And being a TV guy and being in that industry, it's an absolutely wonderful tool, and you've done a fantastic job of translating a lot of the real-life concerns and a lot of the technical challenges that we face to the particularities of this medium and everything like that. So, you know, hats off to you. I mean, it's an absolutely wonderful job. And I guess the question I want to ask is the most obvious one, and it's a two-parter, if I may. What were the most challenging aspects of development to you when you were building it, and then where do you go from here? I mean, are you going to do things with, you know, with like lower thirds or flying graphics in and out, or, you know, of course, being a developer, you're always looking 2 steps ahead of everybody else. So, what is next for Pro Studio?
Okay, I'll start with the first bit. The hardest thing was just learning this new environment. I've been a web application developer for many years. Hangouts development was brand new to me. It's essentially by watching Ginny Murphy and Jonathan Berry and the developer office hours. In fact, Alan and Gerwin are people who I've paid a lot of attention to and what they've been doing. I learned a lot from them, kind of lurking from the shadows back there, not really interacting all that much, but I picked up a lot from them, and that really enabled me to get in there and do something I was really interested in doing. The future, I do have a development list. There's a lot of things that I'd like to do. I'd like to flesh out topics with timestamps so that as we go through and we advance from topic to topic to topic, we know exactly later on where in the stream that's going to be in the YouTube video. It'll be a lot easier to document in there. These are ideas that are coming from other people as well. I'm not just I don't have a great vision of what the 6-month plan is in the development cycle. I'm just getting a lot of great ideas from a lot of people who are contributing to that process. An internal timer to see when the Hangout began broadcasting in the first place as a reference mark for all of that. I'd love to use overlays to do like slide presentations. I want to be able to pick 10 or 20 different images online and be able to advance from slide to slide to slide, being able to convey ideas in that kind of format. I think there's a need for that. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
And then, if I may, I just want to ask, because obviously, you know, this was this was born with a lot of input from Sarah Hill and from, you know, like a lot of my colleagues in the TV news industry. I can actually see Pro Studio having a lot of applicability for like almost like a game show doing in Hangouts, because you can kind of, you know, you can fit a lot of the tools that you've provided us with, you know, to do a big multiplayer game in real time.
You know, the raise hand feature also actually contributed to a discussion where we were talking about how can we tell whose hand went up first? And Alan was a part of that conversation. I wish you were here to talk about that. So that possibility has come up. That's also on the discussion forum. Somebody's coming up with your game show. Keep an eye out for it. It probably won't be me, but if I can play some small role in it, that'd be fun.
Well, great job, and thank you. You've done an outstanding job. Well done.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
One thing, I'm curious, is there a solution? All the apps, like this app, everyone has to install it, so it's a voluntary process. Is there a solution for like what we had earlier on in the show, where we had some person sort of invade, you know, the Hangout, and wouldn't it be neat if there were a way to make an app mandatory to join a Hangout?
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be
You know what I
pretty
mean?
cool. That'd be awesome.
Because there is no solution for this thing. Like we had, I guess the initial problem was this person came in the Hangout and was sort of interrupting and belligerent, and then I blocked him, and then several others blocked him. Then he muted. Then he started retaliating and muting people. Muted Jason. Then Jason blocked him. But Alan had left, right? But left his computer on so he could keep his spot, which we wanted him to do. So he hadn't blocked him. So there was no way to get him out until he just got bored and left, right? But if he hadn't gotten bored and left, he could have continued to mute people because Alan wouldn't have. I mean, I just see these scenarios. And then if someone shares the URL or hacks into it or whatever, because I don't think I'd circled that person. I'm not sure how they got in. So
yeah, if you start an app, if you start the Hangout with the app extension to it, you know how you had it with the developers at one point that to start an app, maybe sharing that link would force them to click on that, and then that would start that project file with the Hangout. It wouldn't be as intrinsic as what it is now, you know, but you'd have to share a link for it to start. You know what I'm talking about, Chad?
Yeah, I do. I'd love to see the Hangout, when you're setting up the Hangout in the first place, give you an opportunity to say this one, so that that's automatically built into that that invitation. And we have been talking just about everybody who's in development on the Hangouts has been talking to Google about trying to get some kind of moderation tools, so that the host of the Hangout at the very least would have the authority to kick somebody out unilaterally without having to have a unanimous vote from everyone.
Yeah.
There needs to be a moderator. There needs to be centralized authority, like one person with all the authority.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's kind of like the Arab dudes who come in like into these Hangouts, and there's these young girls in there, and they're like 13 or 14, and they're doing some really vulgar stuff in there. And that Google needs to do something about that. I mean,
Google needs to separate children from adult Hangouts.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you can restrict
you can do
people.
that right now in
But-
Hangouts on Air. You have that ability.
Yeah, but the broadcasters have like Sarah Hill and the news stations. They have an extra button on theirs that actually does a soft boot to people, and it mutes them and it dims out their audio automatically. So the broadcasters have that for the newscasters shows, but it hasn't filtered down to the other Hangouts as of yet.
Well, we've got IRC behind us. It's absurd that that it doesn't have a kick and a kick and ban.
Jeff, is that in the famous black box that they have, or is that a feature they've turned on for them?
It's a feature they must have turned on with them because they're running it from the app. You know, it's not from the box, right? So they're clicking it from a web-based, environment. So I don't think it's a box. It's got to be something. It's got to be based on their email address.
We've been through all this before on IRC. It's already well established. We went through the whole process of voting and having a unanimous kick and a unanimous ban, and it ended up being exactly like IRC is now, and we could just follow in the footsteps of the people who did it before instead of reinventing the wheel here. We're reinventing the wheel. We're trying to we're not listening to the people who already suffered through all the problems with Hangouts, with social chat groups, chat rooms. It's already established. Why aren't we using the wisdom of the people who already suffered through all the cord?
Well, I think that Chi has said it a few times that they don't want a lot of controls with the Hangouts because they want it to be organic. But it's just too difficult to. It's too difficult to. What do you call it? Are we talking over each other, Dan?
No, not at all. You're fine. Why?
Oh, okay. It's too difficult to moderate Hangouts, especially if you're going to be on air when people keep coming in to be jerks. So yeah, there has to. I mean,
yeah, there's just a certain point until like when it gets annoying, and then you're like, okay, this is so crazy. I need to do something about it. So
I think what it is they're just they don't have like the middle tier tools yet. They have the broadcaster tools, and then they have everybody else, right? And everyone else everyone has on air. There's no like place for something like what Dan's doing, a weekly show that is trying to be produced, but it's not a broadcaster in terms of a major station. So they need to kind of have that, bring some tools down to the mid-level and separate it a little bit, I would think. Just my thought. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, so Dan said he's actually about to break into a coughing and sneezing fit, I guess, on account of the flu he has. So I guess while he clears his sinuses, and I guess something I wasn't aware that germs can be passed through a Hangout, but Diana's also fighting something.
Yeah.
So we wish you guys well, both of you. And if nobody else has anything on this topic, I guess we'll transition to our next topic, which is something that a lot of us have seen right now because it started as something on the Google Plus rumorville, or the grapevine, if you will. An event service evidently may be coming down the pike, integrating Google Calendar, which is something that a lot of people have been saying for many, many months and asking for and explicitly demanding. I know I saw something that maybe 3 or 4 days ago was actually being passed around for us programmers, and there was like a little screenshot that was some of the back-end code, and maybe Sarik, you can take over on this, because it was a snapshot of what the Android application for Google Plus was of the manifest. And in addition to having all of the regular menu items like Hangouts and like your stream and like your profile, it actually had entries for local, which we now know is Google Plus Local, and also for events. So Sarik, lead off and everything. Like, what have you guys seen about this, and what do you think about the ability to actually integrate Calendar and do scheduled events?
You're talking about that XML file or something that was posted by somebody where it was showing extra tags for events and schedules and stuff like that?
Yeah, they were both obviously inactive in the application, but they were listed there as far as the capabilities.
First of all, here's the funny thing about it. Why would Google leak something like that? And do you think they expect people not to find it, or is it like a one of their intuitive ways to let people know what is coming?
I don't think it was a leak. It wasn't a leak. When you have a website, okay, sometimes you have pages that are hidden, but there are certain ways that you can find those pages if you know exactly what to put in. Like, for a lot of times, I used to want to see what's the latest mobile phone on a carrier or something. So if you know how to go to that page, you can click into a certain brand of phone, and then you might stumble upon, the actual phone that's coming out. And so that's not leaked. That's just.
No, what I'm trying to say is, for people who actually write programs, like Chad here, for example, Alan, to an extent me. I know Jason also used to program. These are things which are very easy for programmers to find. So it is not a big deal at all. My point is, why would Google leave something like that? I didn't get exactly where they left it, but before we even get into the topic, I think this has happened the second time now. I think there was something else they did like this before, after Google Plus came, and I have never seen Google doing this with any of the products before.
Well, I think honestly, in the social age, I don't think it's so much as a mistake in engineering on their part, and like this whole big expose, and you're like, oh, we found something. I think this is a very clever form of savvy public relations.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting to. I think it's a clever idea to just put it out there, so people like Chad or you or whoever just picks it up, and suddenly there's a lot of expectation, and then people know what's gonna come, blah blah blah.
Yeah, this isn't something like somebody found something and like, oh my God, we found this huge security flaw, and like let's put it all over the internet and get everybody.
Does anyone know who the first person was that found the post? Okay.
I can't remember.
So that's
right
what I'm
now.
saying. I know you just y'all dismiss what I said, but I'm not joking. That does happen. It's easily. On a hidden page, and it can't happen that way. And that is what the post said. So how can we speculate further if we don't have any evidence that of any other thing, because that's what someone said how they want to finding, the page, and it was taken down.
And as Jason said, this is no big deal, like, it's such a big expose or anything. It's just, as he said, it's a very clever trick of putting it out there so people can speculate on it. But
yeah, because, I mean, Google can only do so many times, and, like what we saw Vic Gundotra do this week, the day before Google Plus Local came out, he put up a single post and he's like, oh man, I really don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight because we have this huge service and I can't tell you guys, but we can't wait to tell you either. And they're building up that anticipation, but they can only come out with so many different rollout strategies and so many ways to introduce a product. And this may be another deliberate, well-placed, well-thought-out way to say, hey, this is what we have coming on. And it makes the experience that much more interesting. For those of us who have picked up on it, like Sarik, you sit back and you kind of laugh and you're like, hey, that was pretty smart. For other people, it's like...
We're journalists, Jason, so we get this all the time, quote-unquote leaks.
And then
the White House, I mean, if I don't know if you're on the White House mailing list, but you get... the correspondents get all kinds of stuff that's floated. And in fact, like Joe Biden, they say that they'll get Biden to say something 2 weeks ahead, and then if it goes well, then President Obama announces it, and if it doesn't, then they say, "Oh, it's just Joe being Joe." I mean, that's a game you play, right?
So,
at the end of the day, because you did bring up journalism and everything, please do be kind to remember there is no such thing as bad press, especially when you're rolling out like a big social platform that has something new coming out, every 11 days.
And then I always considered Google as a very conservative company, and then even though it was considered to be functioning like a startup all the time, but what I also see is that a lot of infusion of people from Microsoft and other companies, there is a kind of a different thought process happening within. I'm not saying the very top management in Google, but from Vic Gundotra downwards, Chi-Chu, they are kind of pushing such things, clever tidbits, which is really nice. Alan is here, so we can even ask him. Alan, are you in a position to talk?
We got while we're waiting for Alan, we got a comment from YouTube. I can envision events being linked to local pages or to pages in general, depending on on how things get integrated. Correction, how things get integrated. And Dan, you sneeze like a girl. Ha ha. I'll have you know my mic was muted, so I think it was some other. Yeah, it was Diana.
I'm guilty of all charges.
Diana, you sneeze like a girl.
I must say, if Diana is going to hold that really cute stuffed animal and everything, then Dan, you should do that too, because she's sick and you're sick, so it's only fair.
Yeah.
No, but getting back to the events thing and everything. So, what does everybody think about actually having the ability, specifically? I'm thinking specifically for Hangouts, to be able to subscribe to planned events that are going to happen. And then be able to receive, some sort of notification, or at least keep track of it. Because there's a lot of shows that I get involved with directly, like what we're doing right now. But then there's also a lot of really cool Hangout programs that I'm a lot more passive in, and I just want to watch a bunch of really smart people just have a really good conversation. And I would like to be able to be notified when they start, as opposed to having to sit there and meticulously keep watching my stream and make sure I don't miss it.
I think that the big thing that's leaked about this is that this is tied to calendar. In fact, the way the leak has been found was through notices that were coming out in the Google's Calendar app. So clearly, that's a feature that is essentially already there. It's built into Calendar, the notification system. So we've got that built in. Having that tied to when a scheduled Hangout will start is only going to make it better. If they're smart, they're going to tie in the calendar notifications to Google Plus notifications as well, and just, that's the integration that we've been waiting for a year now. So it's great that they're finally getting to it.
Do you think
I think it's just one very tiny way that we're beginning to see it. What's Sarik?
We had a discussion about whether it was a clever placement, like they were just trying to leak something which they want, obviously, for programmers or anybody else to find. Do you think it was a clever placement? And I was just talking about it for a while. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, when the news started coming out, I was very clear that I was taking a cautiously optimistic point of view on this. And, in the past, we've seen a lot of leaked screenshots. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of leaked code fragments that point to features that never made the light of day.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if this is real, it's going to be great to see. But I'm waiting just a little bit to actually make sure that it comes out.
I think.
But getting to what Sariq was talking about. I'm sorry, Jeff. Just let me say this one thing. Getting to what Sariq was talking about. Does anyone really believe that Apple engineer a few years ago actually left his prototype iPhone in a bar accidentally? Because I never bought that. That is a well-placed PR move.
Well, at the same time, they made it a big deal by barging into his house and getting the cops in there and getting the thing out and whatever. But we never know, right? We never know.
I have mixed emotions on that, Jason, and let's talk about this because we're both journalists. On the one hand, I see your point that they got a lot of PR about it, but on the second hand, once new features leak, it immediately kills sales of the existing product. And a whole lot of people sit back, just like they're doing with the real estate market right now. They're waiting for it to quote-unquote bottom out. A lot of people are waiting for Facebook stock to bottom out before they buy. So that happened with a lot of inventory with iPhones. Once they announce, that's why they're so secretive. Once you announce that the new thing's going to have a front-facing camera or what have you, or a bigger screen, then everyone who's thinking about buying an iPhone is going to stop and wait. So I think that probably cost them a whole lot more than that publicity was worth because they were already the hottest phone in the market, right?
They had that same thing happen with the iPad 2, right? And then all of a sudden they said, okay, iPad 1 users who bought the last month can get a $100 rebate, So they are a little bit sensitive to it. But getting back to the calendar question, just really quick, how do you think it's going to be implemented? I mean, who's going to have the Google Plus, who's going to monitor what goes in that calendar? Anyone can just add to it?
It depends what you mean by which calendar. I mean, the beauty of this is now you've got essentially, and I'm just picturing one way that would work, is that every page essentially ends up with a calendar. Or, and every person already has a calendar. So if you want to start following somebody, you can follow them. You can add a calendar to your circles. Think about that. Think about what does that mean? Does that now mean it shows up in your calendar?
See, maybe. I thought it had to do with a calendar of hangouts and events, a general event calendar that people would subscribe to in Google Plus and do it that way. So
that wouldn't make sense. That doesn't scale.
So I was wondering how it looks. I mean, how they're going to.
That doesn't scale, and that doesn't fit in with the circle metaphor that we've now grown to love, I guess. What I think is going to happen is you're going to have you're going to have people and pages with calendars, and you'll be subscribing as part of adding them to the circle. That may or may not mean that you're also adding their events to your calendar.
In the Google Calendar application, I mean, we can kind of see where this is going, but you'll be able to. They'll have like the share button on anytime you create like an event, because you can create an event, then you save the event, and then do you want to share it, and to what extent you want to make it public, extend circles, whatever. And then, like Alan said, and we will use the facility that's already inherent in Calendar, and it's been there for a while. You can actually subscribe to a particular calendar.
Sure. But you'd have to know about the calendar, right? And if you get it through a post, you have to look for it, say like Science Fridays or something like that, or all
you have to know about pages now too.
Right.
And that's going to be part of everybody's profile, I think. Yeah. And brand pages. You'll have a calendar available to you just like the same way you have contact information.
The sky is the limit with the calendar, scheduler, event notification, alert notification. You can go. Enterprises have built applications just to, go crazy with calendars. I like the idea what Alan said about having, sharing a calendar and add it to your circles or whatever. If you consider calendar fundamentally,
you can do that now though.
Oh, you can actually add a calendar to a circle.
Not to your circle, but you can add it to a list give it access to people, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. No. Right. See, there are many public calendars available right now in Google. For example, there is a calendar called US Holidays. If you add that to your Google Calendar, individual Google Calendar, it shows up all holidays, right? It automatically picks up all the Google contacts you have and their date of birth, everything. So birthdays. I think other interesting aspects, for example, Dan, is he want to schedule a hangout, and then he can have a periodic hangout set up for every 8 o'clock every Saturday, every Friday evening EST. And then if you circle him, and if you are actually, he can either send you an invite and you can accept it, like just like Microsoft Outlook, how it works,
Right.
or you can even see, scheduling is a great deal. It's a big deal. I don't know whether any other social network does it as well as Google Calendar's potential integration with event.
Okay, well here's I guess how we can kind of frame the argument, and I hate to put it in this perspective because it's clearly not an apples and oranges issue. Imagine what Facebook does right now with its events feature, and just move that over to the Google Plus space and add in like the richness of the calendar application, where you actually have a real calendar. You know, Facebook, you can create individual events that just show up in your feed and everything, but Google can actually have an actual calendar app as the back end.
Right, and I think in doing that, we're now turning calendars into first-class citizens on Google Plus, and we're turning calendar events into first-class citizens. And I think the interaction of all of that's going to be interesting. One of the things I'm actually kind of curious to see is it almost says that an event is a page. Because now you're going to be able to have conversations on the event. You're going to be able to be posting pictures on the event. And that sounds a lot like what a page is right now.
Yeah.
Dynamic. So is this going? Is the event going to have a calendar? Because events have calendars. So exactly where is all of this interaction going to go?
Well, because you can pre-harvest feedback in that. Like you can say, okay, well, we've got the episode of Google Plus or Google Plus, Office Hours, whatever, and you see it right now. And the solutions around that are admittedly kind of hacky, where people say, please post all the comments and questions at this particular URL or the original post. And now you can actually say, okay, I've created an event. It's going to happen on such and such a date at such and such a time. Please post all of the feedback on that, so it's a central location that people can subscribe to, that we can reference, that we can bring up, and it's a lot more organized that way.
What if there is a capability of setting an alert, like if before the actual event happens, the person who creates the event can say, hey, alert everybody who subscribed to this 15 minutes before, half an hour before, 24 hours before. I mean, there are so many things. But don't get me wrong, Alan. My point is, your thoughts are going wild, and you're probably going to expect a lot more than anybody else here, and then you're probably going to be disappointed when they release it, saying that there's nothing special about it.
No,
what the hell is that?
That's what I think about that, Sri.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to please assume that was a foghorn and not something else.
A toot.
What?
That's actually a fire alarm going off.
Oh.
I've lost complete control.
Yeah, I don't think you had control.
You never had control, Dan.
Dan, this is a wonderful train wreck today.
Yeah, this is a slow moving train wreck.
But Alan, I would like to hear from you about that.
Well, you're not. You're going to have to wait a minute to hear from me because I've got a fire alarm going off in the background.
We got some comments here. I got to read. The first one is about Sarik. We got several fans of Diana here. But
don't tell me somebody is hitting on me.
One is about Sarik's ears. I didn't realize Sarik had such prominent ears or something. I think Sarik just got a haircut. And a massive haircut.
Yeah.
They probably charged extra. And looks good, Sarik. And we've got... Wallace, he said Sarik grew ears. And then George Cozy and Holland.
I've got the George Cozy quote up here.
Okay, you got it? You ready? Let's do it.
Let's just start with letting us see our Google Calendar in a little window next to the stream in the white space and our Gmail inbox too. And, I'll be honest, that would be fine, but that's the sort of thing that I would say, who cares about? That's it's a nice little addition, but it's not really doing anything for real integration and really making it social. The screenshots that have leaked out show potential to actually show real integration between the services, real social work. This is, what they're teasing us with, if it is a tease, really shows what I think is going to be one of the best additions to Google Plus in, pretty much 11 months at this point.
Yeah, people have been asking for this since like the third day that this thing, that the field trial started. I remember people were like, okay, so when are you going to integrate calendars?
Yeah, that's kind of like a necessity. Can I say that in a way? Is that a good way to put it?
I think your fans are going to love you talking, yes.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, wouldn't it be like a little necessity or something? Or
yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising the number of people who joined here and said, I joined Google Plus, except it doesn't tell me about birthdays of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, you're kidding me.
See, I don't want to forget my mom's birthday, or she'll like come after me with a brick and like haunt me down. I mean,
right,
she will find me.
But I think the beautiful thing is Google's got this calendar, already with us. So now tying it into somebody's birthday calendar and being able to get the notifications through Google Plus as well would be great. Now, I'm not expecting that on day one, to be honest, because it's clear that they're tying it into events, and that's going to be different. But that's the sort of thing that I think is going to be coming at some point.
I'm just hoping that they don't spam us with event, like requests or whatever, because I really don't want that. I'm kind of worried about how they're going to do it. So if they're going to do it, it's going to take them some time to build it. If this isn't just a tease, if it isn't a hoax, we're not sure. But it would be nice to have events. They should have events from the get-go.
Okay, well here's a conspiracy theory for you. It's, of course, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Google Plus when the field trial first opened. Could they actually launch this on the 1-year anniversary and kind of tie in the calendar theme and say it's our birthday? Ta-da!
I think that might be an interesting day to launch it. I think the other distinct possibility is to launch it at Google I/O, which is around the same time.
Yeah.
I think Google I/O is going to be the big. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if at Google I/O they said, "Hey, we're no longer in the." Did they actually say we're no longer in public beta? Are we still in public beta? I have no idea. So yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. Like I/O's coming out, and then I don't know. We'll see if they have anything on that anniversary. I don't know if that's such a big deal, but the bigger.
There's a lot of stuff planned for that, Dan. There are photo walks that have been organized. Community photo walks, and there's a lot of things that that community is doing, like at the micro level and everything, just to celebrate the first year that we've had this platform to work with.
Of course, the bigger anniversary is the anniversary of Google Plus Week, which.
No, God.
Just kidding. It's
everything
not quite
promotional
as big.
engine, Dan.
We had another comment from Shades WV. Maybe events on Google Plus will have an RSVP feature of some sort. I think that's almost guaranteed, considering that Calendar has an RSVP feature already. So that's going to be pretty much a given, I think.
What's interesting is it's useful, Alan, for things like Hangouts. Like if there are people who don't do Hangouts on a regular schedule and you want to know when they're doing them. But the biggest reason it's not as useful as a Facebook event is that most of the people we engage with are not physically local. It's not a local event that you would attend. It's a virtual event.
Well, but here's I think going to be the brilliant part about events if they do it right, and you can you heard me say that, Sreek, if they do it right. It basically creates a flexible tool. It turns calendars and events into something that can be very dynamic and very powerful. So yeah, you'll be able to use it to schedule Hangouts. You'll be able to use it, hopefully, to schedule things like the weekly Caterdate posts. But you'll also be able to use it to schedule things like somebody's birthday party or a photo walk. So leaving it as a dynamic and flexible tool,
I fear that it will be.
Looking for.
I fear that if they did it too soon, it would be an object of ridicule because it would be a bunch of events that I'm not able to attend because they're out of state or out of country or out of continent.
Oh, and
No,
this
but-
is,
no,
And
but
it's
this is-
another
and
3-minute
this is different-
story.
And this is different than the
Localized,
ridicule that I'm piling onto local for all of the restaurant reviews for a state that I'm not going to visit.
Yeah.
No, Google Calendar, for as long as it's been around, it does a very good job of localizing, like events. And and who knows this better than I do? Because when I'm trying to coordinate with my friends, in the States and everything, the time difference between myself and them is so extreme that, like, if I set something up for me 7 a.m. my time and everything, it'll show on their shared calendar. It's, hey, something's happening, at your time, and you don't have to, do all the math and the time conversion and stuff.
We're getting. I wish there are times when I wish everyone could see the private chat. Alan is.
And other times not.
Exactly.
Alan has been. See, we're getting ready to do a show with Sariq's wife where she's going to teach us how to do Indian cooking, and Alan has apparently been testing some of the recipes.
Oh man, my mom can cook some good egg rolls. I can tell you that. She's from Thailand.
Dad, can you read out that comment from George Cosi?
Hang on a second. I'm about to. put
Alan,
it
go
up.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, which one? We've actually had several comments from George Cosi, but I think
the last one on the
Yeah,
post.
okay. But I think you're talking about this one.
Yes.
Where he goes, does anyone else have the impression that there are moments when Alan just wants to physically jump into the screen? And the answer is...
Oh,
Yeah,
So,
I could- you know what it
we could
is?
all do it. Hold it.
That's a pretty good imitation. And the answer is there are things about this product that I really do get excited about, and that's why I'm here.
The
And-
cat
and-
says fiber. You need less fiber.
Oh,
A couple comments
more
from
fiber, faster
YouTube
speed. Oh, wait,
Live.
that's not the fiber you're talking about, is it?
From Shade SWV, maybe I could help promote an event that maybe local to me. Whoa, it just popped down. Maybe
Hang
I
on,
could.
I got it.
All right, go ahead.
Maybe I could help promote an event that maybe local to me, could be something of interest. Yeah, okay. What I think he's going with that one is that being able to create events. Can you picture, for example, a local chamber of commerce creating a page and then creating a calendar for that page and putting up all of the local chamber of commerce's events on it? Now you're using your page and the calendar to promote activities in your region. So it becomes something that's a lot more open and flexible and dynamic and useful in much the same way that local is. You can sort of see where all of this stuff is beginning to tie in together. And that's the power of social networking.
Because you can not only see what restaurant, using the restaurants as a canonical example again, you can not only see what restaurants are down the street from you or whatever area you happen to be in at that moment, but because it's got a calendar attached to it, as Alan just smartly said, you can also see if there's a birthday party and the entire room is closed for the next hour, without having to actually go down there and waste your time and figure out trying to get a seat.
Yeah, I think there's a great deal of potential that anybody who now has a calendar can use. If you're a local catering hall, you can now put on the calendar when you're booked, and people can see in an instant whether they can book you at that time or not.
And of course, if this calendar thing truly is just a rumor and everything, then all of us 10 wonderful people in this room have effectively just wasted the last 40 minutes of our lives.
Well, no, I've wasted far more than that, because this is the sort of thing that I've been calling for 11 months. And clearly a lot of people have been calling for this sort of thing for a while.
11 months and 40 minutes.
Well played, Jeff.
Trust me, I will be putting a lot more time into it, I am sure. So let's see. Another comment from George, hopefully. Maybe. There we go. It's not Google's fault if you forget to put the birthdays you should remember into your calendar. And I think this is an interesting point, but that's kind of why people liked Facebook's birthday thing. And I think, I certainly know that I keep getting requests over there from some app that wants to track other notable event days. So I think Google cooking that into a calendar and making that available through your Hangout. See, I'm not the only one with strange background noises. Will be, will benefit everybody.
Okay, so we all agree.
I think on this one we actually do all agree.
And now I've lost the list. What's the next thing?
The Tiger Woods thing?
Man, I get sick and like it all goes to hell, you know?
What, the Tiger Woods hangout?
Yeah, maybe you should try some bath salts.
Oh my god. Then I could become violent and my body temperature will rise and I will use my jaw as a weapon. Man, that was freaky. Let's totally go off on a tangent here before we talk about Tiger Woods.
You mean
like that's not
apocalypse?
a tangent, right? Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
I remember, we have to get all the Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber. We have to get all the tags in. The SEO.
No Justin Bieber, please.
But Diana, you heard about this thing, right? The cannibal in Florida, and then I remember what's interesting is I got a press release from the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia, and he was doing a press conference about bath salts, and I had never heard of that. And he said about the abuse of bath salts, and I thought, well, that's odd. How the hell would you abuse bath salts, right? I didn't realize that this was a synthetic drug that had been created that is being marketed as quote-unquote bath salts, but really everyone knows you ingest it or smoke it or whatever you do. I'd never heard of this until I got this press release. Jason, I'm getting a bounce back from you.
Isn't it like Epsom salts?
Well, this is the thing. They're called bath salts, but they're not really bath salts. No. What it is the way the laws work, you can't just say you're banning, a drug. You have to use the chemical name. And so they'll create something similar that's a different chemical that has a similar result. And they can sell that legally until they catch on to it, right? And so also the police all the testing that's done is not geared for this specific chemical. So it won't show up. So they're always one step ahead. And then we saw this guy, and I posted it, and one person actually blocked me and uncircled me because I posted it, but it was news. I mean, if some guy strips naked and goes up to some homeless person and starts eating him, I'm sorry, that's news, And I'm a journalist. That is news, and it's weird, and like, what's going on? And then it later came out that apparently, or allegedly, or reportedly, that this guy was abusing bath salts, and they said that what it is that it causes you to become extremely violent. It causes you to completely lose your control of your mental capacity, and that some doctors have said that people will use their jaw as a weapon. And so that would kind of fit in to this situation where this, guy was eating this person's face. I mean, my God, what a freak show. So,
Dan, never let the facts get in the way of a good story. That's the problem.
Elaborate.
Well, everyone wants it to just be the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. They're not really interested in
they want to go extreme with it. That's what people want you to go extreme with and be like, yeah, the zombies are coming. It's going to be like I Am Legend. That's what they're probably thinking. If y'all
it was rough, but I was trying to avoid any, because I didn't know where the story was going, and I was trying to avoid any cliches. Gracie Ann, go ahead. Pardon me, I don't know. How do I pronounce it? Is it Gracie? Introduce yourself. Tell us where you are, and welcome to the show.
Hi. I'm Gracie. You can just call me Gracie. I don't know. I'm from California. But my question was, what advice would you give a new journalist or a person that wants to be a journalist? There we go.
Well, okay. I'll weigh in first, and then Jason, because he's
that was Google Plus Week. We'll now be talking about journalism this week.
I'm a radio.
Dan and Jason.
Yeah, I'm a radio guy, and we lost control about an hour and a half ago, so we're getting all bets are off now, right? When the first cat invaded, and not our beloved cat we love, but I will weigh in first as a radio guy and a print guy, and then Jason can weigh in as a TV guy. But if you are writing stuff that's intelligent and you're observing things, and you're a journalist, you don't have to have there's no license, there's no certification. The only license you need is the First Amendment to the Constitution. If you're trying to get a job in it, the best thing is to, I don't know, try to get a gig somewhere doing anything. I was watching this great, and I did a post about it. If you go do a search for Brian Williams, the NBC anchor, Brian Williams, and if you do a search on Google Plus, Brian Williams, Dan McDermott, and then look for whatever post it was, there was this great video of how he got his big break. Or just do a Google search for how Brian Williams got his big break, and he got a gig running the Chiron machine, which is the thing that puts the text on the bottom of the screen. You know, Joe Smith, Washington D.C., and he was at WTTG here in Washington, and obviously he was, he's an intelligent guy, he's good looking, the whole deal, but he just had this, entry level job, and the news director called him in, and she said that. I want to ask you a question because you used to do this, right? And he was at a small market, but he was in D.C., which is like one of the top 10 or 20 markets. And Jason can correct me on that. And she said, I want to know, I want to ask you a question. It's very important what answer you give me. And he said, okay. And he's just like this low-level guy. And she said, I want to know who you think is the worst reporter at this TV station. And he said, well, who am I to answer this question? I'm trying to figure out where the echo's coming from. It's feeding back to me. I apologize. He said, who am I to answer this question? And she said, no, I want you to answer it. And so he told her. And he said, the news director for what's now Fox 5 in D.C., but then it was Metro Media 5, WTTG. And she said, you're right. I agree. That is the worst reporter. And I'm going to take him off the air. I'm going to put you on the air. And I'm going to have you cover Northern Virginia. And that's how he got his first big break. It was a big station. He was just some crew member and got bumped up into a correspondent where he could shine. So my advice is find a newspaper or a radio station or TV station in your area, offer to work the crappiest shift, weekend nights, where if you show up regularly and sober, you can get a gig, minimum wage, and prove yourself. And there's always a job for someone who is talented. In my organization, even if I don't have a listing, if someone shows up and I'm really impressed with them, I will find them a job and hire them in a second, because the talent is lacking. There are many applications, but the talent is lacking. So that's my my take on it. Study, read, and watch the pros. If you want to know how to do a good news show, don't look at a Hangout. Look at NBC News, or look at the Today Show, or look at the people on broadcast television, or if you want to write, look at the New York Times, the Washington Post, or whatever you really like. But look at the people who are the best at what they do, and that's kind of the big picture of it. But Jason, do you have any advice for a budding journalist?
Before you go to Jason, I've got just two things. The first is sober actually necessary?
I'm joking. Well, I mean, obviously the cliche is there, but
okay, so no.
What I'm saying is the weekend night shift it's easy to get. I agree. This is going to be this is.
And the second is that we got this comment in on YouTube, Danny Robertson saying this is going to be a classic show, and I think this will make our end of year highlight reel multiple times. Yes.
I think the subtitle has definitely been coined by Jason Salas from KUAM, the slow moving train wreck. But this is awesome. This is great. Jason, what advice do you have for someone who's wants to be a journalist?
Well, very, very quick, and also, that was a really good anecdote that you shared about Brian Williams, and the late Peter Jennings, former anchorman at ABC News, has a similar story. He did not I believe he didn't go to college. He just started out, he started out as a almost in a real scrub position, for lack of a better term, and he worked his way up, and he became like the main man at ABC News for many, many years. And when the 9/11 terrorist attacks happened, he was on the air literally, I think, for like 3 days straight. So and I did not go to school to learn how to be a journalist. I majored in marketing and music theory, and I wound up doing computer science and broadcasting. So my parents are very proud of me for that. 4 years of money down the drain. But what I've learned, and I've brought some my perspective on that is, this is a business that isn't based on science. It's a business that is structured around ethics, and those kind of things change over time. And with the evolving nature of online media right now, I would say, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this and everything, is don't put so much emphasis in print medium, because print is really changing in a lot of ways. It's starting to devolve. I mean, you would hope that print would like embrace online media more, but unfortunately, there's a lot of really good newspapers throughout the country that are shutting down. Really emphasize, like Dan said, just really try and commit for a period of years on building your skill set. Become fluid in writing for the web, and then also for print. For your local newspaper if you happen to get in there, because I mean it's still a valid job. It's a very noble profession. Because writing for the web, for a newspaper where you have a finite number of words, and then writing for the web where you're basically unlimited, are two completely separate animals. Work on your broadcasting skill. Find your voice. Just keep working all over the time. And it's funny because when people ask me about this, I tend to quote Jay Leno, because when Jay was just getting started out in Boston, he asked, I think it was Johnny Carson. And he asked how could he get better, and Johnny Carson said, well, first of all, you move to a bigger market where you'll be around top-notch talent, and the most important thing is you work every single day. You try and learn something new, you hone your craft, and you find your own voice. You express to the world how you see the world in your eyes, and you develop your own style, and that's the most important thing. And it's a wonderful industry to be in. It's very, very fun, very rewarding, and at the end of the day, you put your head on your pillow and you've done a good thing in the world. So best of luck to you, and I look forward to having you as a colleague.
Okay, I got to respond to Mr. Salas's dig against print journalism. All right, here's the deal, Jason. You're right. Big city, regional, massive dailies are having issues. But print journalism by itself, a lot of the small papers, certain business models work, and my papers are growing phenomenally. We had one of my papers has about a 250% increase in advertising revenue this year over last year, consistently. If you're printing a bunch of AP stories that everyone read yesterday on Drudge Report in the paper, then yeah, you're right. But if you're printing good local coverage that is exclusive to your publication, and you're not giving it away in a separate product online, if the only way they can get the stories about your neighborhood are by picking up, a free paper that's in 7-Eleven and the grocery store and the restaurant you eat at and everywhere else, the post office, then people are going to pick it up. Also, we're able to do the long-form journalism that broadcasters are not allowed to do because of time constraints. The in-depth investigations. The Washington Post did a story about the government contractor situation where there's like millions of government contractors that people don't even realize are out there, this whole national security apparatus. And they had a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer on this story for over a year with a staff for a story that was a 2-day story. What local TV station is going to have those resources? What local TV station is going to hire a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer for 2 years? Zero. So to say someone shouldn't look into print, it's not. I mean, I don't know how long print's going to be around. It'll be around until someone figures out a model for folks to make money online, because online your CPM is like, I mean, how much do you guys get, CPM? I mean,
Dan, I want to get to that in a second, but let me share this post from George Cozy first. And I do want to get back to it in a second because it ties into some Google Plus stuff. George posted a question to Jason and Dan. Should a journalist have a conscience, or is it only the story that matters?
Oh. I mean, that's a softball, right?
Hey, it's a comment. I post them as we get them.
Well, and the same argument is made for those people who get into law. Lawyers. People make the same thing about lawyers all the time.
I mean, of course you have a conscience. I mean, neither Jason and I are in this because we love it. Neither one of us are. We're not attending. We're not. On NASDAQ. I mean, this is. It's a labor of love, and it's a sacrifice to a degree. It's exciting when you get to express your view on a story, and your writing or your, whatever, and to have a lot of people respond to it. But the thrill is being able to matter and have your to expose stuff. Like I did this thing today. I just did a random Google Plus post about the different versions on Obama versus Bush. I mean, they had this two speeches for President Bush's portrait hanging, and there were all these different versions of the story. One version said that President Obama used rare praise, and I apologize. I'm pausing here because I'm getting another echo back. But President Obama said that he said these glowing stuff about Bush, and then Bush said glowing stuff about Obama, and they did this wonderful presentation. And then I saw stories that said that Obama praises Bush, and rare or went so far as to say issues rare praise of President Bush. And then I saw a story, Obama insults Bush, and that's what first triggered my interest. I saw that and said, what are you talking about? Why would Obama insult Bush at a portrait hanging for Bush? I mean, this is not an occasion for partisanship, right?
They should be talking about something else.
Another story, Rush Limbaugh said that Obama reverted to campaign mode and stuff. And so then I actually read the speech, and I found it. And so we have a role to play. Trying to observe. I mean, you're the observer. Not everyone can watch every government meeting. People expect you to watch the city council meeting, the board of supervisors meeting, the governor's speech or whatever, and kind of write it up for them because they don't have time. They're raising their kids. They're in their marriage. They're doing their life, right? And so just like we delegate government to the politicians, you delegate what's going on to the reporters, and you delegate when I turn the water faucet on, water happens to the maintenance department. We can't do everything ourselves. That's why we have civilization. And I'll go to Jason.
Well, Dan, if I may, and I think this
go ahead, Jason.
This kind of speaks to George's comment. That was a very, very good comment, and one that comes up a lot. But he asked the best questions, and he posts the most comments in here by far. Even though we have we have the smartest commenters on the internet that always feedback on the show. But this also speaks to maybe Gracie's concern about getting into the business is, what interests you and what motivates you to want to become a storyteller or a documentarian of human experience. Like Dan said, I mean, if you're going to cover the political beat, you want to be someone who is essentially a watchdog for your community, either at the local level or at the national level, and you want to hold the government in check. If you're like me and you're a sports journalist, you want to be able to take the experience of competitive athletics, and you have a certain reverence for the context of the moment. And when the Celtics are playing the Heat, you want to be able to tell people exactly what that means, not only right now, but also historically. If you're a entertainment beat reporter and you want to celebrate people getting into trouble and doing weird stuff, but also, making great movies and writing books and doing TVs, that's perfectly fine. And there's so many different areas you can be in. But, again, that it all depends on what interests you as a person, what do you think you can bring to the table as far as contributing to the business, and then how do you want to go about it? And to George's comment, each one of those roles of journalism has a very distinct approach. When you said, should you have a conscience or anything? Obviously, those of us who are doing hard news and we have to go and report on stories that can be really, really uncomfortable at the civic level, like fires and trials and the thing that happened in Florida, with the face eating thing this week. I mean, that's really uncomfortable, and we approach this kind of stuff a lot different than the tabloid folks do. They've got a completely different attitude about this kind of stuff. But Dan just walked away, so.
You need to stretch.
I kind of think he was questioning your moral fiber. He was questioning your character as reporters there.
Yeah, long story short and everything, it's a wonderful industry to be in and everything like that.
Ethical questions came into play, and normally that doesn't happen unless unless you're bending the rules in some way, unless you're offending somebody. Unless you're hurting somebody, you're victimizing somebody. How do you ask the question when reporters that you're speaking about aren't victimizing anyone by exposing them or victimizing anyone who doesn't deserve it? What did he mean by that? Was that a cut? Was he complaining about you?
You're talking specifically, or like?
Yeah, it's specifically Dan, because he mentioned Dan. Was he asking just a general question that wasn't personal at all, or was he personally was he questioning your character there? Because it kind of looked like it might have been you might be into some kind of clandestine.
Oh no, George is cool. Yeah, George asked really good questions, and he asked and see. I think that's kind of funny because we're talking about journalism. That George asks the really tough questions that need to be asked. They're not always the most comfortable things to.
The uncomfortable questions, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a general question, like not all things need to be exposed, not all truth needs to be exposed, just like I don't need to pull down my pants in front of you just to show you what it looks like under there. There are a lot of things that people just don't need to know, don't want to know, and it's just it's a evidence of low moral fiber to expose certain things, and it kind of seems that he was pointing.
Well, just to clarify, George did follow up a little, and he said he was asking this thinking of what's been going on with Rupert Murdoch and the papers in England. So I guess that kind of frames where he was coming with on the question. And do you want to change your answer any either?
Okay, specifically on the Murdoch troubles, which I knew nothing about. Yeah, I apologize if that was irrelevant. It just, just being hit in the face with the question. Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to Google Plus matters. Can we talk about Tiger Woods?
Wait, can I do something really quick?
Oh.
I do like interviewing people. That's one of my favorite things to do. Like,
Scott Kidman is on.
Oh my gosh!
Somebody just told me that he is watching this. If y'all have never heard of him, Scott Kidman is
Kid
a famous Kid Martin. He is a famous YouTuber, and he's watching. Somebody just let me know that.
Shout out to Scott Kid Martin. But
yeah, I didn't know you was a fan, Gracie. But okay.
Yay!
But I do like interviewing people. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do. Like,
what have you done so far? You're interviewing people, and how old are you, first of all, Gracie?
I am 17.
Okay, are you still in high school?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm Dan, please. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a writer, or do you want to be a broadcast journalist, or what do you want to do?
I don't know.
You just want to you want to cover stuff and be a news person.
Yeah.
Are you involved?
Yes.
Is there a school paper where you are?
Yeah.
Are you involved in that?
Yeah.
What's your role there?
I interview people.
Okay, so you write articles in the school paper.
Yes.
What kind of features do you do? General interviews or business features or personality profiles?
Just general interviews, like with the teachers and the dean of students, but I've actually done more. I've actually gotten to interview Sean Latham, who was on Comedy Central, and Gabriel Iglesias' Stand Up Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
I contacted him on Facebook and said, "Hey, can I interview you?" And he's like, "What for?" And I told him, "Well, for school." And he's like, "Sure." And I got to interview him. I was actually expecting.
Did you want to say goodbye to Annie and Tom?
Last thing before we go to Jason and Tiger Woods, I would recommend. Do me a favor. Send me a link on my profile. I have send Dan an email, and Jason either post it or whatever. But send us both a link to some of your writing samples, because I'm sure both of us will be curious to see, how you're doing, and just offer you some input or whatever. But yeah, I'd love to see some writing samples. I'm sure Jason would as well. But that's awesome, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. So let me. I know Jason has a limited time window here. Jason, I guess Tiger Woods is
Yes.
in the Google Plus news.
Yeah, the former world's #1 in golf had a historic hangout this week. He personally appeared in a hangout that lasted about between 35 and 38 minutes, somewhere around there. And it was, the guests were selected from, I guess people had to go on the official Tiger Woods profile page and just indicate their interest. But they had a serviceman that was there that was in the Army, and I believe he was in public relations, and they had a couple fans. Really, really good. He actually showed off his comedy chops, because one of the people that was in the hangout that interviewed him pretty much extensively was Roger Maltby of NBC Sports, who, ironically, the tournament that Tiger was training for in Dublin, Ohio, the Memorial Tournament, Roger actually won that in 1976 when Tiger was barely 1 year old. And so Tiger, took a really, really good pot shot at him and everything, and how Roger's kind of getting a little bit older. But it was really fun to watch, and I thought, just another example of how celebrities can actually reach out to their fans and actually touch base with those guys. And it was a really good conversation. He got a little bit technical about his approach and how his athletic mentality, and about the mechanics of his swing and how he's had to adjust that after his very well documented injury. One thing that I did note was that, of course, because this was a celebrity hangout, a lot of the questions seemed to be pre-screened or seeded, and you would expect that would be the case, because like with President Obama, they had that one hangout, and it kind of seemed like the questions were known ahead of time and everything, but that's to be expected. As far as an experience and everything, it was really cool to watch. You guys can just search for it in YouTube, Tiger Woods Hangout and everything. It's a good quick watch, and yet another way of just how this platform is transforming telephony and entertainment.
It's always exciting to see that, to see some big, like Maria Quban, who had, oh God, the boxer.
So Jason,
Mike
I noticed that coming
Tyson.
up next week. I noticed that coming up next week there are two more hangouts, which would probably pique your interest. One I noticed was with the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Have you seen that one? Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, Clay Matthews is the All-Pro and the Defensive Player of the Year. So the outstanding middle linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, former USC Trojan. So you can expect that the Packers page is just going to be chock full of people wanting to get into that. Clay Matthews has a huge following, and that's going to be a really good one. I believe that's on Tuesday. And there's another hangout coming up that Alan has alluded me to, and he's passed all of the responsibility, so I now bear the burden of the moral.
I would point out that you were the one that told us all about it in the pre-show. So
yeah, offline, but you can actually check my stream to see what I'm actually talking about, and you can find me at Jason Salas on Google Plus, and we'll just leave it at that.
All right, Tom C. in Richmond. anything exciting happening this week in Richmond?
In Richmond, car accident a couple blocks away. Nothing. No, nothing good. Just thunderstorms on the seaboard, eastern seaboard. The flights are delayed. No, nothing good happening. Nothing interesting.
All right.
Hey Dan, how much NyQuil? How much NyQuil have you had?
I'm hurting. Sri.
Yeah.
This is funny because like I remember last week you messaged me why I didn't follow up. Sometimes you don't know you're sick yet, right? I guess I was sick last week because I always do an after party, right? And I didn't. And I think you or somebody messaged me and said like, you know, what's the deal? And I said, I don't know. I just don't. I'm out of it. And then like it hit me about midweek, and so now I'm, you know, dying or whatever. But Sarik, I had a wonderful time. I had my first hangout in real life. First time I've gotten to meet someone, because we all have on Google Plus. We have all these friends. Like everyone here is a friend of mine now, either a long-term friend or a new friend, and it's interesting when you actually meet one of us in real life. And for a second, you kind of pause and you're like sizing him up, you know. And it's kind of neat because Sarik, but we're both like 6'2", 6'3", or whatever. But I got to meet Sarik and his brother-in-law and their wives and their adorable kids who completely destroyed the restaurant. We had lunch together, and it was wonderful. But it was just it was a neat experience. It was my first time meeting someone who I'd known. It's weird, you know, you get to know someone so well online, and then when you meet them in person, it's a different experience. What were your thoughts on it? You have no audio.
Who are you speaking to? Someone keeps muting me.
Okay. All right. So, sorry, I was on mute. It was a little weird. I agree. Except, and then it was quite exciting to see, you know, how is Dan McDermott in real life. I agree with the fact that you are 6'3" and I'm 6'2", and then you know, anybody who has a doubt about that, you know, you can basically do a hurl again and find out. And then as I was typing.
You're muted again, Sarik.
Oh, okay. I don't know why it's happening.
You're back.
Okay, so considering that I'm the only person who has actually touched the Warren County newspaper, I don't know, you know, and Dan generously gave us a couple of copies of the same newspaper, and it helped me, you know, in Luray Caverns when kids were playing, I could sit and read it, and thankfully I didn't have to read both the papers because they were copies, right? And then I'm just kidding. It was pretty good. I went through it. And it was really fun. I was really happy that Dan took the time to drive all the way from Bentonville to come to Friend Royal. What actually struck me was like, you know, going from New Jersey, which is very close to New York, to all the way to rural Virginia. I felt like there was nobody there. You know, it was absolutely. And Dan actually suggested us take a beautiful drive through. What's that place? What's that friend? What is it called? Dan?
Skyline Drive.
Skyline Drive, right? It was beautiful. You know, right in the center of Shenandoah Valley, and we took that. Family completely enjoyed it. And I mean, my family was sitting and talking to Dan all the time, and they were like, "Oh, he's a nice gentleman." Well, we know the truth, but and then yeah, my son, one of them actually, the little one, kind of destroyed the place with smashing a glass of water.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was epic. It was like
right.
water and everything everywhere. It was great. It was awesome.
Right, and the restaurant was very, I don't know what's the right word, quiet and nice, and I like the food. My family, some of them ordered curry chicken in an American restaurant, and I wouldn't really say that they probably liked it, but it was okay, and I wouldn't complain. But overall, it was great to meet you, Dan, in person.
The thing is that we would never have met on Facebook or Twitter or any other means. We met on Google Plus.
True, yeah.
And we're friends now. And now I got the awesome opportunity to meet your family in real life. And now we're all family friends. And this just proves to me the powerful tool that Google Plus is to discover people who are really cool, who are interesting, and share your, you know, your interest and passions or whatever. So this was awesome. This was great.
And I've invited Dan over to New York City whenever he comes down. He actually visits the B&H shop, and I said probably Alan can come down to, you know, well, I don't know. So it depends. Dan, if you have any plans to come to New York, you should let us know.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to meet you and Alan and Anthony. And then I'm going to go to Pam next, but I think we have a quick comment.
We do have a quick comment from MD Richa. Meeting people from Buzz or on Plus in real life is a great experience. I will say that I hate the phrase in real life, but other than that, it is kind of always interesting to see how online and offline worlds collide and overlap and work well together. So it's great to hear the story that you guys relayed.
And I would say Dan is exactly like how he shows up on the show, but with a little less makeup.
And a little less lighting that requires that. Margie, let me go to you first while Pam gets on camera. Margie, anything really cool happen on Google Plus Week for you this past 7 days? You always have a lot of stuff going on, right?
I wish I didn't. Well, there's a lot of banning of people that's been going on Google Plus. I don't know if a lot.
Yeah,
of
what's the deal with that? Because I think you shared me the first post about that. I guess someone got banned because they shared. What we've heard is someone shared a private post. Again, this is all, you know, allegedly. Someone shared a private post that had porn in it, and then one of the recipients reported it, and they got banned. And then there was this hashtag, you know, free so and so or whatever. They took almost like a, you know, free Mandela movement thing, but I mean, obviously it's against the terms of service. But on the other hand, if you share something privately, you expect that to be honored, or what's the deal? What are your thoughts on it?
What I heard,
Do we even know it was real?
today,
First of all,
no, it was real. Trust me, it was real. And what I saw today is the person. I'm not going to bring up their name, but the person that was banned. He said that he had posted something, limited circles or extended circle, but he did not lock it. And one of the people that saw it from the extended circle share, or, you know, or the limited circle share, whatever it was, they're the ones who reported it. So that's the rumor that he heard. He doesn't know for sure because, you know, Google doesn't give a report to protect the person's privacy, and it was. But the thing that was going on is that I didn't know what was going on, and I was just coming down my stream so fast. I kept seeing a zillion hashtags, and everyone's talking, and then I started seeing porn and everything in my stream. So I just asked the question, who is this guy? Is this a hoax? What's going on? You know, because I had no clue about it. And then some people started trying to tell me, you know, what was going on. They were commenting. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, are you telling me the truth? I've never seen this guy. I've never heard of this guy. Do you have a picture? Do you have something of him that I can see? So there was this female, again, I'm not going to say her name, and she mentioned me in a photo that was going around. So I saw the photo, and on the photo, it was a meme, and it said why he was being banned. It was saying he was being banned because of porn. So I went back to my post, the one that was just asking the question of, you know, what's going on. And I said, more than likely, if he was being banned because of porn, we don't know if that's the case, but if that is the case, that's against the TOS, and if he takes it down, you know, Google will probably reinstate it. But people got upset, and then they started tagging other people into the post, you know, my inquisitive post, and then I got trolled. And then for 12 hours, I got basically bullied on Google Plus, and I had nothing to do with it. Then because I sit there and wrote a post to say, a lot of people were saying, what's the TOS? And people were asking questions. I'm like, I can't answer these questions. Ask the community managers. And I did tag a few of the community managers. Brian Rose responded about photos and stuff and says, you know, that you cannot post sexually explicit material, pornography, sexually graphic art on Google Plus, and you also cannot have that stuff uploaded with your instant upload into Google Plus, even a private album. I did not know that, but he tried to explain to everyone what was going on with that. And so I guess people got upset about because I asked the Google manager about it, or because I brought up the terms of service. I don't know, but I think if you sign up for a social network, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, you're accepting a contract in essence, right?
Absolutely, and I think that this goes back to our first story, Google Local, Google Plus Local, in that Google Plus has a barrier to entry. And as much as folks fussed about it, Alan, first and foremost, and he's going to blast me because I'm gonna let him speak last so he can trash me on this. But as much as he trashed me about this, by trying to get people to do the real profiles, it minimizes the spamming that goes on and stuff like this. And so as you look at things like Google Local, you get a little more validity from these things that have been posted from profiles in Google Plus. But yeah, so just to clarify, you absolutely did not report anybody, because I know you were accused of that by folks looking for some sort of scapegoat, but you absolutely did not do that. And
I never heard of the guy.
Yeah, because I remember you were asking me about it. Shortly before you were accused of doing it, you asked me, like, what's the deal with this guy? And we were speculating about it, and we were trying to do research. And so it's like you were, yet another victim in rare Google Plus drama.
It didn't stop there. The problem was there was the person that showed me the photo that had commented and was trying to be helpful to me and did nothing to me. She got banned the next day. And then because the last contact they want, and people were saying it was on my post, then they accused me of banning her, and it got extremely nasty. I'm like, on a social network, I don't believe that you should be using curse words and attacking other people and bullying people online. They went nasty for 12 hours. Their posts, I would say probably between 20 to 40 posts all over Google Plus, talking so much trash about me, cussing me out, calling me the most hideous names. I'm like, I was in tears.
Well, here's the problem with a social network, and when we're dealing with people to people, is that some people keep forgetting that there are real people on the other end here. It's easier now that we see real pictures and we have hangouts that we can really talk to them. But overall, there are still people that believe that there's nobody real on the other end of the line, and that's just not the case. There are real people there with real feelings. They're doing real things based on real actions. And, for the most part, people are just able to say, look, I'm stepping away from this garbage because there's just too much drama here. And you said that. I saw you say that on one of the other posts that you got dragged into. But people can now hunt you down and keep trying to increase the drama. And if you do something like, block them for yourself or kill their posts, you're now accused of increasing the drama instead of trying to defuse it. It seemed like, and I'll be honest, I got so tired of reading some of this, I just stopped. It was nothing against you, it's nothing against the other people, but at some point I had too much and I stopped following it. But when, up until that point, it was very clear that people wanted to try to make an issue out of it without any facts.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got some guys, but
when you think something's dead, and they just would not stop with it, and that was the thing that was frustrating me. I didn't want to talk about it, but what do you do? Are you not supposed to say anything? Turn the other cheek. I tried that, but then it kept getting back. The people are so silly with this. They tag me into stuff. I'm like, when you tag someone in the body of a post, they will see it. And then they start talking like I couldn't even see it. So I was like, you want me to come to a post, you want me to curse you out, you want me to be violent like you are against me. And I tried my best. I did not curse at all on any of the posts, but there were many posts. It was ridiculous. They were tagging me into all these posts. And I'm like, if you block them, you can't see anything. So you can't block it first. You have to sit there, you have to see what's going on, and then you have to report it. And that's all you can do. You can get the URL of it, you can get a screenshot of it, so you can contact the Google managers and let them know this is going on. You're not making up, you're not a drama queen, this is going on, this shouldn't be going on. But it's crazy. I've never had this on a social network before. I love Google+. This is the first time this has ever happened to me.
I'm going to say a general statement, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Basically, I'm going to say that it becomes extremely pathetic when you have to lock your own posts and you have to mute posts that you've been tagged in, and when you have to disable notifications from people outside of your circles because you're being attacked like this. So this entire scenario where you've been attacked and everything like this, I want to say that that's pathetic on those people's parts. My question is, did you contact community managers or other people at Google, and did they take any action that you know of?
I don't know. I contacted Google managers. I've sent it in feedback, the URL, and the posts. I've reported those posts. I haven't heard anything back. Like I did say, Brian Rose did interact with us when we were asking about the TOS and about photos and what you can upload. But no one's got in touch with me. This is not the first time this has happened. This has happened. This is probably about the 8th time that I've had a situation on Google Plus of being bullied by people. I don't know what it is. I'm not hateful. Yes, I'm a Christian, but I do not hate homosexuals. I got accused of that. It's crazy. No, I don't hate homosexuals. No, I'm not a prude. No, I do not think that homosexuality is a sin. I do not think premarital sex is a sin. People do not know me. And that makes me mad, because that's when they started going crazy and tearing me apart. And I'm not trying to make this so much about me. There are young people on Google Plus. There are 12-year-olds. Yes, I know it's supposed to be 13, but there are 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, and 10-year-olds on Google Plus. There was a 12-year-old even jumped into a hangout with a Googler, and I was in the hangout, and she was 12 years old, and she jumped in. So when these people do this, bullying, it's fine. Do it to me. I'm an adult. It's going to hurt me for a minute. I'm going to get over it. But I'm scared what it might do when it comes to a minor that has some picture on that's not their face, and they may not know, it's a child they're talking to, and they do this. Will that child know what to do in a situation?
Yeah, they don't have enough life experience, and there's a difference between them being mean and being bullied, but it's the same thing. It's going to hurt somebody, and I don't know if they realize it. I don't know if they're, I don't know. It's something that needs to be dealt with.
But the problem is that the world is full of jerks, and you can't stop the jerks from being jerks. And the parents of the minor children have the responsibility to police their children's internet usage. It is not Google Plus's community's responsibility to make sure that the children don't see anything and don't hear anything and don't read anything. No, it's not.
They can get fined. Yes, they can, and they will get
fined. It is not my responsibility to make sure that some kid doesn't see something. No, it isn't.
Well, maybe for
no,
you,
it's the parents. I have kids.
And
I'm sorry. I have kids
that I love, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that might be your opinion, but it's not my opinion. I don't want kids on my stream, and if they're there, that's not my problem. That's their parents' problem.
Well, to me, I won't post public anything that's going to sit there and hurt some kid or be disrespectful to a child. That stuff should be limited. That's why I made a post that said limited posts should be locked by default. If people want to enable sharing on those posts, then they should enable sharing, but they should be locked. And there's a reason for that, because you don't want anything that is not suitable for the eyes of a young person to get to them. And I understand your opinion, and I respect your opinion that you think it's just the parents' responsibility, but parents don't watch you 24/7, okay? So we are adults, and as an adult, I will sit there and make sure I'm going to stand up, and what I post out is not going to disrespect children. And if I see posts of kiddie porn, and that has been on here, and I see stuff like that that's disrespectful, that will hurt these children, I will report it. Now, I don't usually report stuff when it comes to grown adults. I will just tell them, look, you can do what you want to do. That's your business. But all I asked you that you would do for your own safety and for the safety of other people, so you don't get in trouble. Because again, people do have profile photos.
Okay,
of
so
random
Margie
things.
and Pam
You don't
agree.
know if they're a child.
Actually,
Any
I do think Margie
any
and
final
Pam are
thoughts
more
on
in
Google
agreement
Plus
than it
Week?
sounds.
Huh?
I do think Margie and Pam are more in agreement than it sounds, actually.
Which we will revisit in depth next week when I'm conscious. Pam, any final thoughts on this Google Plus Week?
I think Pam has to say something.
No, actually, the banning thing was
verify. They should, like, children should not be able to get in. They should need a credit card. They should be able to dig through mom's purse and get a credit card out and punch in the credit card numbers to prove that they're 18. You know, and most children can't do that.
Well, I mean, the thing is that 13-year-olds, I think, are allowed on Google Plus, right, Adam?
Yes.
All right. The second thing is people under the age of 13, I believe, are allowed on Google Plus if they have the permission of their parents. So if there's a 12-year-old, they're not.
No.
Explicitly. All right, then. All right.
Okay.
I'll shut up.
You know, Dan said Pam. He didn't say Scott. He didn't say Anthony. He said Pam. Okay.
Any final thoughts on Google Plus Week, Pam?
No, actually, I was going to mention the banning thing too, but I was going to be a lot. I mean, I didn't get into it other than to say you violate the terms of service. You can't blame the tattlers for violating the terms of service. You did that, and you have to pay the consequences. I violate the terms of service, and if they're going to ban my account because of it, that's my problem. It's not who tattled.
Yeah,
I
everyone's
think that's
been on the
ridiculous.
Tattler's case.
Well, that's
You know,
what matters to
it's-
them. It matters to them who tattles, who's the snitch.
Oh, I understand that. It's because we live in an entitlement society, and that everyone thinks that they should be able to break all the rules. And that everyone should be okay with that, but that's not the way it is.
Here's my take on this as a person who's been banned from Google Plus for 2 weeks for violating the terms of service. I generally agree. I think the problem with all of us, just blindly saying, "Oh, it's in the terms of service. You got to follow the terms of service," are twofold. One, as a nation, we've got a pretty well-established set of civil disobedience. That's the way we get things changed sometimes. If we think something's unjust, we disobey it until we're able to use it and to show that why we feel it's unjust. Two, the terms of service they're not cosmic law. They're made by people. Well, I guess we can call lawyers people. They're made by lawyers. And that doesn't make them right. It just means that they're what's there to be followed. The name rule was there for bad reasons, and they were proven to be bad reasons. Some of the terms of service that are there right now are still there for bad reasons, but they're reasons, and that's what Google is deemed. I don't have to agree with it, and sometimes I'm not going to agree with it, and sometimes I'm going to do what I think is right. And if that means I get punished because of it, that means I get punished because of it.
So it'll evolve.
And that's what it boils down to.
It's beta for now. Accept it as beta until it becomes civil, rational, and civil, like we expect.
But it's not going to become civil.
It's not civil. Trust me.
It's going to become less civil as you add more users. I mean, that's
Human networks are not civil. That's why we have laws.
But isn't it changing? Isn't it evolving? Aren't they refining their terms? Aren't they?
No. I think the general a social network becomes less lawful as time goes by. People behave themselves less the more people join, and it's just going to be it's going to be a losing game after a while.
You're introducing a lot more. It's introducing a lot more variables there, and so there's going to be a lot more stress on the structure of the thing. And right now we're all calling for more structure, for more control, We don't have a designated moderator for
We're putting
Hangouts.
more individual control and not necessarily social control. And I think that's important. One of the things that Google Plus does do is it places an individual burden on individuals on how they want to see and what they want to see and how they want things released. And people aren't using those controls correctly in a lot of ways. You know, I think a broad-based term of service that says that certain classes of material cannot be put on Google Plus is wrong. I think saying that certain classes of material cannot be public on Google Plus or cannot be exposed to people where it's inappropriate is perfectly acceptable. But I think, as pointed, you know, as Marjorie pointed out, if I take a photo of a nude statue, a nude public statue, I might point out, something that is sitting in the middle of Philadelphia, if I take a picture of that on my smartphone, I've now violated Google's terms of service, even though nobody else can see that picture, even though it's a public piece of art. And that bothers me.
Because
yes,
some
and that's
people can
all
test
through
it.
the summer of Google Plus. We all talked about the censorship that was going on, and that is something I had said over and over again. They need to understand. And someone told me, I don't know who, I can't remember, told me that there was supposed to be something added for like classic art for the photographers. Because I have no issue with classic art. I love nude paintings. I think they're beautiful. I'm talking about classic nude paintings, not trashy stuff. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But there's a difference between something that's classy and having a GIF of two people, you know, actually in an intimate position and going at it.
The problem, Margie, well, I can even show you something like that I think you might even agree would be art. The problem with that, though, is that really it starts turning into the perspective of the person who's viewing it. And Google, that's why Google has to walk a fine line, and that's why they've got this in their terms of service, and that's where problems start cropping up.
Right, so how are they giving individuals power, yet they're taking away all that
circles
power
and the
by,
slider.
Banning nudity altogether. No nudity at all.
Nudity's not supposed to be on whatsoever because they have, you know, a public policy. They allow children on. But what people can do if they want to protect themselves is put these people that post this material in a circle, you know, and turn that down. If they don't want to be, you know, they don't want to deal with those people, uncircle them. But the people who do post that stuff, you know, that's them. That's the risk that they take when they post that stuff. I've told them, if you're going to post stuff, you know, let the people know you're posting that stuff. They can put you in a circle. They can, you know, and adjust the volume, and also that they can lock them. It's not always about that. Sometimes this stuff gets shared by zillions of people. You know, so I don't know. Maybe people need a social network just for porn. And I mean, I'm not. It's ridiculous. I know there's.
It'd probably make a lot of money,
seriously,
Margie.
They would. And they would, and I think it's needed. Because if they love their porn that much, to all rally around one guy to get the porn. Look, I'm not against the guy. You know what was... Let me tell you one thing about this guy. This guy...
That's what I want. I'm going to do that, Marjorie. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do like the porn social network. That's perfect.
I gotta move. I gotta move. Gracie. I know you're all excited about this whole... you know, all this naughty talk, but Gracie, what was the most exciting thing you saw on Google Plus this week, or interesting, or what caused you to stop and think, or
how was your Google Plus week?
How was your wonderful Google Plus week?
I think it was maybe last week. Was it? I got to talk to Scott Kinmartin.
Who is he? I'm going to go look him up.
He's a YouTuber. He's awesome.
Is he cute?
Why is he awesome? And tell us about Scott. Okay. I think you said Scott was watching earlier.
Yes.
So I apologize for not knowing who he is, but I'll know in about 10 minutes. I think we're in different target demos.
I think Diana knows who he is, right?
Yeah. I was
help me out here.
Yeah, he is a dog fanatic, and he has
huskies.
Yeah, he has huskies. He's like the Justin Bieber, except I don't like Justin Bieber, so.
I was gonna say, I think Alan and I are afraid now. We're gonna feverishly Google this up, so
No,
because we're
no.
gonna be embarrassed if I've just said something the equivalent of. So tell us who this Canadian Justin Bieber character is. Like,
Yeah, I
everyone's gonna
read
be
your
like, oh
mind.
my
I read your
god,
mind. Mine
everyone
right here.
knows this guy.
Scott is awesome. He's funny. He does skits, vlogs, and yeah, and he's very funny.
That's
he
awesome.
likes unicorns.
I don't think you like him pretty much, do you?
Well, tell you what, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and for Dan, I'm going to extend an invitation to him to appear on the show in a future show.
Absolutely,
So-
that'd be fantastic. We've had some other YouTube stars on the show, and
Like who?
Lamar Wilson.
Lamar Wilson was on, and Chris Perillo was on,
Oh, Chris
and
Perillo.
yeah,
I
Lamar
mean,
Wilson's
Bassmaster.
just
We get this guy
totally
named Oleg every
awesome.
so
He's so
often.
smart and so he's funny and smart.
He's fun.
Lamar Wilson's, but most great comedians are really smart. Okay, that's awesome. And Diana, it was also your first time joining us tonight. So tell me, did you have a great Google Plus week, and what kind of sparked your interest, or what was the most entertaining or funny or smart or thought-provoking thing that you saw on the network this week?
Well, I actually just found Google Plus just messing around on Google, and I had no clue what Plus Diana was like a week ago. I clicked on it and I found out, oh, this is cool. So I just started hanging out with people and met a lot of cool people also. I also found what was interesting was that Justin Bieber was trending all week, and I did not like that.
Justin Bieber trends
At all.
every single day of the week.
I know. It's
They've
either
picked up
Taylor
on
Swift-
Anthony and Alan's posts, and so it's trending because they post so frequently about Justin. But go ahead.
And then also Zombie Apocalypse. That was kind of interesting because of that, the guy who literally gnarled that guy's face off.
Yeah, it was a crazy week, and I think it's awesome that you joined us. You gave us a great, you and Gracie gave us some wonderful, fresh perspective for our show, full of
And then
old tech
Catman
geeks.
also
Huh?
in here. And then the weird cat dude who came in. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, this was a unique show that will be discussed at some length, I'm sure. And we've still managed to maintain an insane number of viewers, despite all of our glitches. Anthony, you joined us late, and I really, it's always great to have you on. What was any thoughts on anything we discussed, and how was your Google Plus week?
Actually, I didn't spend much time on Google Plus this week. So the biggest thing was obviously the dragon thing, which was trending last week, and it continued to trend this week as it arrived back on Earth. So yeah, I guess.
What'd you think about the face-eating cannibal dude?
You know what? I'm trying to stay away from that as much as humanly possible because that's just disgusting. I saw a video of it actually happening on. It must have been on YouTube, but really, there's nothing to actually see there because there's a big bridge pit of
You know what's
basically
awful
hiding
is
everything.
What's awful is it just lends itself to. It's so bizarre that and all of us are guilty. I've made a few flippant comments about it. I've made a few cliches, but really we're talking about some random homeless dude who was just minding his own business, and some crazy drug-induced guy came up on him, and I mean it's awful. But like, just admitting my own guilt. We've all had fun with the story. I'm not had fun, but like we've all just stopped and like, my God, this is so bizarre. I mean, some guy, eating someone, and like, you try to, but like you have this natural reaction, but then you try to restrain yourself, but then, it's just some homeless, helpless dude, who who probably was woken up by this guy and aggressive because of these drugs. I mean, I don't know. It's just this crazy story. It's a big complicated issue, but an awful situation, awful result, obviously. So, but anyway, not to kill the mood,
But
we can talk about the
to
Facebook
kill the mood
stock.
and to eat the brains from the mood while we're at it.
Yeah, how about that Facebook stock, Alan Furstenberg? How's your? I know you bought in. I know. See, I'm jealous because you bought in early.
That's
you bought
what
a
my
whole
dad
bunch
did.
of stock really early on, and so you got it right at the IPO price. So I'm kind of jealous, Alan.
Me? You're kidding. Let me see. What's the closing price? The closing price today was 27.72.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like I've been saying, it's just it wants to be at $28.
Yeah.
This
See,
stock wants to be at $28.
it should be about 20, but
Not this-
Yeah. it should.
and long term it should be about $8 if you compare it to the network. I just when I saw that, I remember I said it early on, Alan. I said when it first came out, they were saying that the market value of Facebook was bigger than McDonald's, and I was like, up yours, no way, I'm sorry, but McDonald's. When I go by McDonald's, I see a line wrapped around the building, and I've been in 20, 30 different countries, and there's McDonald's everywhere, and the idea that Facebook, King Tutankhamun's creation, is worth more than McDonald's is just so nonsensical to me. Of course, I'm being vindicated as usual. Just kidding. It's actually a rare occasion when I'm right. But Alan, what are your thoughts on this wonderful Google Plus week, and anything that we talked about that you were not privy to because you were out at the orphanage feeding the children or whatever you were doing?
Yeah, we'll go with that story. Sure. It was a pretty good Google Plus week. I got to admit that the Pro Hangout app, which I missed the discussion on, was probably one of the notable points of the week for me. I was insanely jealous when I saw him posting about it and when I played with it a bit, and I was insanely jealous because, as you know, you and I have talked about writing exactly that app. But he did an excellent job with it. I've talked with him a little bit about how it works and some improvements, and kudos to him. It's a great app. It's probably one of the first apps we've seen that really takes advantage of cross-person communication. So the apps are all talking to each other to coordinate a really, really good experience. And I think that's what's important, is making sure that we create a good Hangout experience with it. So that was wonderful to see. I'll agree with Anthony. I thought it was wonderful to see Dragon return to Earth. So that was fun. And overall, I'm now racing to finish my my photographs for Krista Ray's photography scavenger hunt, which has a deadline of tomorrow at noon. So I've got a little over 12 hours left to finish my photos.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great. It was
How
great
was your
for Chad
Google Plus
to
week, Dan?
pop in tonight. Thank you very much. I am like dying, but I'm a team player, right? And if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. And so here I am, with doing one for the team here. But yeah, so I apologize if I've been out of sorts, which I have been. But I got to keep our.
You're ill.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it was great to meet so many new people tonight. This was awesome, and to see so many old friends. It was great. Richmond, baby, go Braves, right? Richmond Braves.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
You also should have CM Punk on here.
Who? CM Punk?
Yeah, CM Punk from WWE.
I think you should get CM Punk and the other YouTube star you were referring to.
You're gonna need to get Jason to interview him.
Yeah, we'll get him
Check out
on
my
here.
guns. I'm CM Punk.
See, now you're teasing. Now, Diana, you're only causing more YouTube comments. See, with your
Hey, rates go up, viewers goes up. That's good for you. Good for the Dan economy.
If anybody wonders why there's a big line of cars circling around Alabama or Arkansas or whatever, what state is it?
Alabama.
Alabama. You'll know why.
Emma's always getting us in trouble.
This was awesome. Thanks so much, Tom and Sarik. I love you, buddy, and your wonderful family. Margie, always a pleasure. Such an intelligent conversation with you. And Gracie and Diana, great to meet both of you. Wonderful additions to our crew here. Anthony Klauser, as always, awesome. And Alan Furstenberg, meh.
Right back at you, Dad.
I love Alan. All right, thanks guys so much. I'm gonna crash. I'm dying, and
hope you feel better.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, get better
I hope so. But this was awesome. I'm gonna close the official broadcast, and then we'll do a quick whatever. But for folks watching on Justin TV and on YouTube later on, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful Google Plus week.